Okay, it's finally time. It's time to cut some Reflectix. Hello adventurers and welcome back to my channel. Today is the dreaded day where I am going to be outside cutting my Reflectix and figuring this out. Now I have a couple different ideas in mind, and I've cut some Reflectix previously whenever I drove my car around the country, and so I think it's going to be very similar, but today I'm going to try something a little bit different where I actually cut a pattern. So I have picked up a couple things to do this, and I'm hoping this goes well. So I have a few pieces of this. It's just some poster board. I've had it in storage so I could use it, and today is finally the day it comes out to see if we can make this work. Now ultimately I have several different window sizes that I need to cover. So I have my basic side windows, which I have a curtain that goes across, but at the same time it leaves a little gap, so I need to make sure this is covered. I also have these tiny little windows, which realistically I'll probably just make an insert and leave them in there. And then I have the big window, which I may or may not cut a new piece of Reflectix for, because I do currently have a screen that goes up, and I've used it for a while, but I used it in conjunction with a curtain. So I need to try out a couple of things to see if I can make this work, or if I do need to cut something different. Now, I have a few obstacles also on my front window that I may end up having to kind of work around. I might also take them off, I'm not sure. So today we're gonna be figuring all of that out, and all the while it is a hot day here in Texas. So let's see how this goes. Okay, starting off, this is my window cover that I have, and we're gonna try to see what this looks like before I do any cutting. Oh, looky there, it's only 104 in here. This won't be too bad, baby. With that said, it's gonna be pretty warm, so I'm gonna make this quick work if I can. I'm going to go ahead and try to fit this first, see where the gaps are, and see if there's a way that I can improve the gaps. And if there is not, then I will figure out how that I need to modify this or create a new one to kind of fill in some of those holes. Then I'm going to bring out the pieces that I'm going to be making the templates for and create the templates, and then I'll take everything inside to do the cutting in there. Okay, this is what I'm looking at. Notice that there's a gap here because I have some things on the front dash, but there's also a little gap down here and one over on both the sides. So with that said, I don't know that this is necessarily going to fix that problem where there's no light leaking out, because there's no way that I can cover this unless I make some major changes where I put some like velcro on it so it can velcro to this, maybe, I don't know. Also, if I take this and scoot it over, it opens up more of a gap, so that's not any good. So ultimately, unless I can figure out how to secure this part, I'm kind of in a bad spot. Now those bottom ones, I could put hats in. That wouldn't be that big of a deal. And so maybe I will try this velcro thing. I don't know. I'm trying to debate on if that's gonna be a good use of my time. Oh, I don't know. So inside I go to cut some velcro and see if this will work. If this works, this is starting us off on a good foot. If it doesn't, then, well, back to the drawing board. Okay, so in theory what I'm doing is I'm just taking some of these velcro strips, and because they have a sticky back, I have to put something behind them. And I'm fastening it, pushing it in really good, and this is what it looks like before I trim it. So I'm gonna see if this will work. If it does, this is an easy solution, and I just found both of these items at Walmart and then just took some extra cloth. Okay, back out to the van I go. Cross our fingers this works. If this does, that's one less thing I have to actually cut today, and this makes it much easier than having to figure out the dimensions of this very, very large piece of real estate. Okay, it's not perfect, but it definitely stays up there a bit better. So this might work. I'm still not completely sold on it. You know what? From the outside, I think it'll be fine because it's actually covered up by this dark spot, kind of, unless you get over to like the side. So I think we'll be okay. Okay, I'm gonna leave that in place because I'm gonna do light check in a little bit. And so now it's time for me to go get my stuff to make my templates. Okay, since I'm gonna be doing the smaller window first, I'm gonna take this and actually cut it into a quarter here, and that way I can have a much smaller canvas, and then I'm going to take that canvas outside and use it so I'm not carrying out a huge piece all at once. Okay, now I'm bringing this and a pair of scissors out to see if we can size this up correctly. Now this is the tiny little window that I'm covering, and as you can see, this is more than enough to do that. So I'm just going to kind of shape it according to the space that I have. and then I'm gonna try to put it inside and see if that fits. Okay, in theory, I have a shape that I think will fit. And it'll be facing this direction on that side and then this direction on this side. So now I've got to see if it'll actually fit and how much I need to trim off. So under this piece, I'll fold this piece up so it's easier to get to. And then this will go in here, and it is quite large. So I need to cut the top part off for sure. And it looks as though after I cut that top part, let's see, we'll go there. Okay, it's going in there better. Okay, now I'm gonna fold it into the spot so I'll know where to cut next. Okay, so I'm just kind of pushing it in to those spaces and then kind of rotating it just a little bit. Okay, now I've made kind of an imprint of it. So I know where the line needs to kind of go. And this is not a perfect science, but this is a weird little window. And so I'm gonna just slowly trim away at it. And then also a little bit on this side. Okay, let's see now. Because this is such a small spot to get into, it's kind of weird, but I'm getting pretty close. Okay, I'm gonna need to trim the bottom piece just a little bit, it looks like right here, because it's rounded. So there's that. And then I'll go back in again. Okay. I can't see through that in any way, shape, or form. It's still a little bit long, but I kind of want it to sit in there. So I'm gonna leave a little length on it. So I'll take this in and use this as a template. Now this template is not meant to be exact. I wanted to make sure it was a little bit big, so when I bring it back out here, I can, one, make sure it fits in the space, but two, I can trim it on site. I will say this, the good thing about doing it this way is that because this is a solution that I'm working toward as opposed to a final, oh yeah, this is gonna work, it allows me to kind of really check it over and over again. Also, as always, anything I do here on the channel, I test out first. So since this is gonna be a shorter trip, this is gonna give me an opportunity to see if I like these or if I'd rather go back with curtain again. I think that this will be great for freeing up some room in the front and also not having to worry about the constant struggle I've had. At the same time, Reflectix come with their own set of challenges sometimes, and because these are not professionally cut directly for my van, and I am doing it on my own, I am still going to take a curtain with me. I'm going to take a curtain because I think it would be a smart idea to do that, just in case something goes awry. And again, I'm only going to be on the road for a short time this time as I'm testing everything out before I take on a grand adventure again. So this is a perfect way for me to be able to test them out, but also have that comfort of a backup plan. Okay, as we get into this now, and I'm pulling off the plastic, this was just picked up at Lowe's. You can find it at Lowe's or Home Depot. There's a huge roll. Most people do not need a huge roll. However, I'm splitting this with my dad, and he has a huge window in his van. So we just decided to go ahead and get the big guy. Also, if this works out, I am going to, whenever I return back to my base camp at some point in the future, put some black fabric on the other side of them, because I tend to like my black side out on my shade that I currently have. It just makes it look like it's dark inside versus, hi, I'm a Reflectic. And so it's a little incognito in comparison to, hey, somebody's in there. And normally that doesn't matter. I'm not really big on having to stealth camp. I have the roof box, so that's normally not my prerogative in doing that. However, I have noticed that if I'm going into a location sometimes and I want to make sure that nobody can see into my van, just having something that I can put up in the window to kind of distract them from being able to just like peek in is handy. So I sometimes put up my little curtains and that way nobody can see in, and with that I like to use the black side out. So if I could do that with these, that would be great. That way I could have a matching set. Okay, getting started on this, I'm just lining up my pattern and then cutting around it, and I have a big enough piece so I can cut 2 of these. Now back outside with some scissors I go. Okay, so I'm gonna set my scissors here so I can use them, and then I need to figure out my angle again, which I believe is like this, and then it goes into place like that. Okay, it seems to fit really well. I could probably trim a tiny bit off of this top side, but let me look at it from the outside. Definitely needs a little trimming. So again, this is the top side, so I'm just gonna go here and take a tiny bit off. Start off there, put it back in place, try it again. Okay, you can see this side could use a little trimming also, so I'm gonna trim that. Okay, right here. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good right there. And then I have some sunglasses that I always place in these areas, so that'll hold up the reflective even more. These will just stay in place. Now I will use this one as a pattern for this one, and then I'll put the other one in too. Those definitely could benefit from some black facing on them, so I definitely will be looking forward to doing those once I return. I think this is going to be the easier of the windows though. Now it's time to start on this window. Now there are a couple ways you can do this. You can do it from the outside or the inside. I'm going to do it from the inside because I have wind deflectors, so that's going to make my sizing a bit off. So wish me luck, here we go. As you can see with this one, the window itself is bigger than the paper, so I'm gonna have to do this in 2 sections, which is kind of scary. I could also tape together 2 pieces. Okay, again, I very roughly mapped this out, just showing you don't have to have a perfect pattern. Now the reason why I'm showing this without a perfect pattern is because this is accessible to everyone. We should all be able to figure out solutions, and sometimes realistically, making a perfect pattern is just not feasible. Sometimes if you have deflectors or you don't have tape or you don't have a second set of hands, we have to do these things kind of in a weird way. And so it's okay to have a rough pattern and then trim from there. Whenever I did my previous set, I went right in, made measurements, and everything was great until it wasn't. And so then I would have to recut. So I found that this method just works a little bit better for the average everyday person. But now that I'm inside, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of cut along my bends. That way I can then go fit the pattern. And this way I don't have to be outside in the elements as long. So like this piece right here, I know comes off, and then it immediately folds into this piece up here. So basically I'm just connecting the bends to create a more logical shape. Okay, back outside one more time. Okay, after making my rough cuts, I went ahead and put the 2 pieces together. I bridged them together in a little spot, and then I know that I need to go a little higher in this corner. So all in all, this is good. I can go in and cut the reflective now. Like I said before, every step is a step towards something you can achieve, and you don't have to be a professional to do this. It just takes you willing to put in the time on any projects when it comes to van life, and you can figure it out. And this may not be the best method for everyone, but this is a method that I've seen lots of people do, just not really talk about. And so I wanted to put it out there that, again, you don't have to have a template. You don't have to have a professionally done window cover. You can actually create your own just using things that you can find at the Dollar Tree. The scissors, the tape, and the poster board all are from Dollar Tree. So Dollar Tree and a little Lowe's to the rescue. Okay, again, I just lay my template out. I remember I need it to be a little bit bigger in this corner, and it cut. Okay, so all in all, this works. And now I'm gonna put my little curtain up. But in order to do that, I need to close the door because it's pretty windy right now. Okay, let's see. All in all, it stayed in place. It's not perfect, but this will work. Again, I will be putting black on this eventually, but it's staying in place. So this is a win. I'm gonna take it out, use it as a pattern for the other side. Okay, hopefully this will be the last time I come back out to the van, until we do our light test, that is. Okay, I think it'll work. I'll come back to do the light test in a little bit. Okay, it's really hot, and that took much longer than it should have because I couldn't film the last part at all of fitting the second window because it was so windy outside. So if you're working on this, don't do it whenever there's wind. When I started out this project, it was fine, but then it started getting very gusty. So as you can imagine, putting something on an open door in the gusting wind, not fun. So it's in there, but at the same time, wow. Okay, I turned on my green light that I use in my van, and I can already see that I'm going to definitely have a spot over on this side just because I didn't get the reflective closed all the way. But I'm gonna look at the very bottom at these two and then also this one to see if I can see light. I can see a little bit through the top part still and a little bit through this tiny spot right here, but I think I'm good. So I think what I'm gonna do is actually cut a piece of actual black cloth and put some Velcro on it so that it can fit up there. But all in all, I'm pretty pleased. Okay, so is it perfect? No. Is it going to work though? Yes. Am I going to kind of tweak it as I go? And if I do like it, do the black on the one side? Yeah, I think this is gonna work out well. And again, I've had Reflectix in my car previous, and I did kind of a different way where I just traced out the window, and that way worked okay too. But no matter what you do, finding something that makes you happy in your space is what's really important. If you choose to do wide open windows and just a curtain, that's okay. I've been there, I've done that. If you want to just do some basic curtains, that's also okay. If you want to do curtains with the window socks, also acceptable. I have the window socks as well, and I use them a lot, especially on days where I want to let some air into my van. So all of these things will work out. I hope today you've enjoyed coming along with me on this very interesting journey of creating my Reflectix. Again, this is something that I wasn't really expecting that I was going to put in the van, but at the same time, it just simply made sense. So remember guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time, and well, projects being completed, check that off the list because that's definitely a better time. Until next time guys, bye.